Alright, so here I have just the basic scene from the template file that I have. If you need to download this, you can just download it from the description below. For the assets that I'm going to be using for the buttons, that's just from the Kinney pack. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll have to set up a few things in the project settings. We'll go over here to where it says display and window. So then once we click on window, we can set this to 1920 by 1080. So that's just 1080p standard window. Over here for stretch mode, I want to do viewport. That's just going to make it, if we were to resize it, everything is properly organized. So now that we have that, we need to create a new scene for this. It's going to be using a control node or user interface. We can just rename this to main menu. Now let's go ahead and import our assets. I'll do a folder, I'll do textures, and then we can just drag over all of our textures. So I want to make a background, which is going to be a texture rect. I'll go ahead and drag my background over. Now for the buttons, we need to create what's called a VBox. This is going to automatically align all of our icons and buttons and everything. So we'll add a child of that, and we'll do a texture button. Now for this, we'll go over here, and we need to assign textures for the normal texture that it uses, one for the pressed and one for the hover. So just to create an example, I'll use the depth gradient for the original one. And then I'll use gradient for the hover, and then flat for pressed. Now I want to move this over here, and you can move this wherever you need your buttons for your game. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a child node of this for a label. Now I want to go ahead and hit this to full rect. And then for the text, I'm going to type in play. This is going to be our play button. Horizontal alignment is going to be center. And then I'm going to create some new label settings for this. If you wanted to assign your own font, you could do that here. So for the size, we'll try something like 42. We'll leave the color how it is. And then we'll rename this to play button. And then we'll copy this a couple times. We want to create a settings button. And we want to create a quit button. Just change the text for all of those. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is create a settings menu. So up here, we'll create a child node, and we'll use a control node. And then we'll rename this to settings menu. Add a panel to that. And then we can move that here, drag it out however we need it. And then inside of there, I'm just going to create a regular button with an X as the text. And then we can draw that, move it over there. So now we can start scripting. We'll come over here to the main menu. We'll attach a script to it. And then we need to connect a few functions here. The easiest way to do that is just to click on whatever button we need to connect here, click on node, and do pressed. All right, and then we'll do one for settings, and then we'll do one for the quit, and then we'll do one right here for the settings menu button. But I don't want to create a whole new function for that. We're going to use the same one as the on settings button pressed. So what I'll do is click on the button and then double click pressed. And I'm going to actually pick what method I want to use, on settings button pressed, and connect. Now if we look here, we can see both of those here. And so if either one of those is pressed, it's going to fire this function. And I'll show you how we can utilize that later. So right now we'll go ahead and create the play button. We'll type in get tree dot change scene to file, and then select whatever your scene is that you're going to want to load when that button is pressed. Then for the settings, we'll say if settings menu dot visible equals false, then we'll set it to visible equals true. Then else we'll say settings menu dot visible equals false. And then the last one here for the quit button, we just have to do get tree dot quit. All right, so if we go ahead, we'll make this invisible, hit play, and we'll save this scene right here in our scenes file, main menu. So settings, we'll open up the menu. Quit is going to quit out of there. And then we'll hit play and it loads in our scene. And that's how we can make a main menu in Godot.